These players are getting a ton of hype and rising up draft boards, but are they worth it when it comes down to it for your draft? Stay tuned, we're going to tell you. Welcome back, Endgame community. I'm Pierre, he's Chris. Now, these are some of the players that have been getting a lot of positive buzz around training camp. You know there's news coming out every single day, but are they worth the hype, or should you let your league mates fall for the hype? All right, so let's go ahead and start out with a guy who's all up on Twitter and the news and highlights and everything is George Pickens these days. Like, that's it. He's the next guy. He's that dude. But is he?
I think he will be. I don't know if he is yet, though. I think the hype's a little out of control for him. I mean, I don't think people also realize how good Diontae Johnson really is. Like, Diontae Johnson is a legit, probably top 10 NFL wide receiver. So it's not like Pickens is coming into a wide receiver room where he has no competition. I do think Pickens will be very good. I think maybe year 2, year 3, we could be talking about Pickens as an elite fantasy wide receiver. But people are starting to act like this guy should be, a 5th, 6th, 7th round draft pick. I just don't see it. And let's not forget, his QBs are going to be Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, or Mason Rudolph. That's not very good. Steelers probably going to be more of a run-heavy team than a pass-heavy team. I like Pickens. I'm sure he'll have some nice games. But I do think the hype's a little out of control right now, and we need to pump the brakes a bit.
Yeah, look, I mean, if he had been the guy drafted by a team like, Detroit or Houston or somewhere, he could just come in and he could just be the guy. Maybe I could see that, but his target share just can't be that huge. Like you said, Diontae Johnson's the number 1 there. Chase Claypool, the 2. They have a good pass-catching tight end. And, of course, we know Najee. Great shot to be the number 1 overall fantasy player this year. But he's going to get a ton of targets, and then the quarterback situation also not good. So, look, love Pickens in Dynasty. Maybe get him now, although probably his price is way too high. But I think we're going to have to slow our roll on him. As far as redraft, I'm not going to reach on him. We also maybe shouldn't reach on a guy who was barely drafted and a running back out of Rutgers. Look, those things maybe don't matter when it comes time to being on the NFL field, but Isiah Pacheco, is he really going to make a splash in that Kansas City backfield?
Define splash. I think he'll have a role and he'll be okay. It seems like he probably will have a role as the pass catching back. And I wonder, even if, Edwards-Helaire gets hurt, which he probably will because that's what he does, is Pacheco's role going to increase, or are we just going to see a bigger role for Jerick McKinnon, who was great in an every down role last year in the playoffs? So I think Pacheco will be fine as, a pass catching back, a late round type of flyer. But if his ADP starts to climb too high, I just don't see how he can ever pay off that value, because I don't ever see him having a big role in the ground game. Just more of like a change of pace, pass catching guy, like a light version of Nyheim Hines, I guess.
Yeah, look, I mean, how many times we have to go through this and stop reaching for Kansas City running backs? And I know people say, well, what about Darrell Williams? He came on last year. That's because of injuries, and he caught a ton of passes. He scored touchdowns. Is Pacheco that guy? I don't think so. And look, you talked about, people are all excited about him because he ran the fastest 40 out of all the running backs this year. He's got their great receiving ability, all the things that check those boxes. But who else does that? Jerick McKinnon, right? Jerick McKinnon of the legendary, combine scores and spark scores. And when it comes down to who are they going to trust on the field first? The guy who was there last year and helped them in the playoffs, McKinnon, or this rookie? It's going to be McKinnon first. Pacheco will get some run, but not enough to make him fantasy relevant. He is at best probably a handcuff right now. So keep your eye on him, stash him if you're in a really deep league, but I wouldn't draft him in a redraft league. All right, now what about guy who actually might be worth drafting higher? Because look, Dameon Pierce, it looks like he's going to be the guy in Houston. And I was a little reluctant to admit that he would be the guy, of course, being a Gator. But look, Pierce is doing everything he's been asked of, and his coaches are praising him. Are you going to buy in on the hype for Dameon Pierce?
Yeah, I'm buying in on the hype. And it's not because of the hype so much. It's because that he doesn't really have a lot of competition here. I know, Marlon Mack, he's nice and all, but not like we're talking about an elite running back. Rex Burkhead, come on. The guy's like 30-something years old. Let's stop with Rex Burkhead already. So there's a clear path here to, Pierce having a decent role in this backfield. Now, it's not a great backfield. It's not a great offense. It's probably going to be one of the worst offenses in the NFL. I don't know. But still, even if he starts the season behind Marlon Mack, technically, I think he can overtake Marlon Mack and become the guy. And all the reports are great. And even though his ADP has gone up, it hasn't shot way up like, Pickens or the guy we're going to talk about next. It's still kind of just gone up only a little bit. So for me, still a great value. Still very much willing to draft him.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised with all the buzz he's gotten just lately that it hasn't gone up higher. I think it will kind of keep creeping up as we get closer to the season, especially if he has another good exhibition game. People will really jump on him. Maybe a lot of people just haven't drafted yet. But yeah, Pierce, look, the good thing is he is a capable receiver, probably better so than Marlon Mack, so he's going to have PPR value. So I kind of have to admit I'm kind of buying into him. Romeo Dobbs. Look, we've talked about him already. People going crazy because he's a Packer, is it not? If he was doing what he was doing, getting this praise from anywhere else, would we even be talking about him this much?
No. And this is just crazy to me how out of control it is. We're talking about a 4th-round wide receiver who has gotten some nice plays in camp, then caught a touchdown pass against 2nd or 3rd stringers, and now it's just out of control. But Aaron Rodgers just came out and said, hey, look, he doesn't always run the right routes. He doesn't always break off the routes when I expect him to. Like, he said something about an interception he threw in camp. He said, look, if you watch the tape, you'll realize that wasn't my fault. It was his fault. That's not really what you want to hear from Aaron Rodgers. And look, rookies are going to make mistakes, but if we're going to hype this guy up to be the Packers wide receiver 1, he's going to be, he's going to overtake all these guys. He can't have Aaron Rodgers not having his trust. He needs the trust of Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think it's quite there yet, and I don't know if it's going to be there this entire season. Aaron Rodgers isn't one of those guys who just goes right out there and instant trust with people. That's why I like Allen Lazard. I don't think Lazard will smash, but he's got Aaron Rodgers' trust at this point. So the hype train here, way out of control. ADP, way out of control. No way I can take him at this point.
Yeah, I've already spoken my piece on Dobbs. If you guys watch our shorts, look, at this point, I'm not going to even listen to anything Rodgers says, because at first he was going crazy, hyping up all these rookies, and now all of a sudden he's talking up the veterans. Hey, he likes to play games with the media, if you didn't know this, so let's just kind of ignore that and move on. Now, from Dobbs to Dobbins, I think Endgame community knows pretty well how we feel about J.K. Dobbins, but Chris, I'll let you go first. This ADP is going to keep climbing because people are going to believe he's healthy, he's the guy, run-heavy team in Baltimore, and you say...
No. I mean, is he healthy? Okay, maybe he's healthy enough to play and to start, but let's not forget, I mean, did we already forget Saquon Barkley from a year ago coming off an ACL injury? Not even a multi-ligament tear like Dobbins had, just a straight ACL. Never looked like himself last year. We expect Dobbins, who has, not even close to the talent of Saquon Barkley, is just going to come off of this and be fine. I don't think so. Even if he technically starts week 1, he's going to be on an extremely limited snap count. He's probably going to be on a limited snap count for a lot of the season. And when he finally is off the snap count, he's not going to be close to 100% J.K. Dobbins, which, by the way, wasn't some elite generational prospect anyways. He was good, but he wasn't some incredible once-in-a-lifetime prospect. So, yeah, the closer we get to the season and people see him and realize he's going to start, his ADP is going to skyrocket, which is fine with me because it just means I'll get better values at other places.
Yeah, it's hard to believe we still have recency bias going on from a year and a half ago, but that seems like what's happening. Everyone remembers that stretch, the end of the season, his rookie year, where he had, basically scoring a touchdown per game. But it's not like he was, putting up elite rushing totals. He was just getting in the end zone. They have other guys who can do that. And yeah, he might still score a few touchdowns, but is this a guy who you want as your every week RB2? No, I don't think so. I'm definitely going to stay away here, which leads us to our final member, and that is Michael Thomas. Okay, so I get why we're excited. Yes, this is a guy who, was setting records a couple years ago. Let's fast forward to today. He doesn't have Drew Brees anymore, but supposedly he's healthy. So, okay, before I say you in on Michael Thomas, are you in at his current ADP? And I'm not even sure where he's going these days. He's almost going up to like 6th round level, I think.
No, not in. And I know earlier in the season we said we were out no matter what. If he fell far enough now, I would probably take him. But I still have very big concerns for Michael Thomas this year. Namely, the guy has barely played any football or even practiced playing football in almost 2 years. He's coming off an ankle injury that who knows what happened to that ankle that didn't heal right, didn't get the treatment it needed, whatever it was. And he's now in offense, like you said, without Drew Brees, who also has Chris Olave, who's done nothing but impress in camp, and Jarvis Landry, who we know is a good NFL wide receiver. This isn't going to be the Michael Thomas show like it was 3 years ago when he set records, when it was just Michael Thomas. He's got competition for targets. He doesn't have as good of a QB. His QB is not as accurate as it was, and they probably won't throw as much as they did when they had Drew Brees because they don't have Drew Brees. So sure, Michael Thomas may now be fine as like a wide receiver 3 with some upside, but people are going to draft this guy as their wide receiver 2 thinking they're getting some kind of steal. I'm here to tell you, you're not getting a steal. You're probably just getting a little above fair value.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's kind of a tough situation because on the one hand, we'll say, and I just said this in a recent video of ours, a guy like Saquon Barkley, we know what he can do, right? Look a couple years ago, he a league winner. And why am I not saying the same thing for Michael Thomas? Though a couple of years ago, he was the best receiver. He's a league winner. It's not the same situation, not the same circumstance. And yeah, maybe his injury isn't as severe, but a receiver depends on his quarterback and his offense, unlike a running back who can mostly do it himself, right? It kind of depends on his blockers, but that's the whole offense. So, look, the pieces aren't in place for Thomas to become an elite fantasy receiver again. So he might be fine. He might be serviceable as a wide receiver, maybe even a wide receiver 2. Who knows? But he's now creeping back up to unrealistic levels, and I'm still not drafting him. All right, so those are some of the recent ADP risers. Give you our thoughts on them. Guys, if you're not already in the Discord, check out the description below. We talk fantasy football all season long. We're here to help you win, so join us in our endgame community. All right, thanks for watching.